I will demo implementations of visual verification test with UI Testing Toolbox. The visual verification testing in this implementation is compares the visible output of the application against to a baseline or reference image, and let's see it in work. So my first test is a very basic test. It check that it checks the title part of the page, and it will fails if something changes. So let's start it. So now it will pass. This is the first try. To check it if it works. Okay, so you can see it passes, and I change the site name, for example, this, and start the test again. You see the text is changed, and now the test has failed, but this test is repeated for 3 times if it fails. So should wait a bit.
Can you tell why is it repeated, by the way?
In some cases, I think sorry, and this is the BS settings. I have no info. I will check this, and I will come back with the answer.
So sorry, that was a loaded question. Yeah, you know, UI tests can be flaky actually. So there's a lot about timing. So when the automation clicks something in the browser, it might take half a second. It might take 2 minutes if there's some glitch. And we want to make sure that the tests themselves don't get flaky just by the automation being flaky. And repetition is one, or repeating the whole test if it fails is one very crude approach to that. We have a lot of other pieces that also guard flakiness, well, guard against flakiness.
I have a question. I see in the test detail summary in the bottom right of Visual Studio that the baseline image was loaded from embedded resource. How do you create those resources? At what point of the test do you do that?
I will show it a minute. I want just complete this demo, and I will show how it generated. So as you can see, the test is has failed, and you can find the failure dump inside in the failure dump informations, visual verification output, and you can find the baseline image in the failure dumps. You can see this is the original test that we want to see. Here is a diff image which shows that where is the difference, and you can find the captured output of the application. So this is the end of the test, and you can find all the required information about the failure. So, and how the baseline images are generated. Yes, the baseline images are embedded resources, and I will show how it's generated. Okay, so I remove all the baseline images. I don't know which is the actually selected, and I left the test as is, so it will contain an invalid output. Okay, and now I run the test again. The logic behind the test is that is very similar, like should this match approved behavior. So if the engine didn't find a baseline image for a given test, it will capture the baseline in the first run, and after when the test runs again, the previously captured baseline image are used as baseline, and after you can see now is passed, the new baseline image are generated, and that's all. If you want to. The only thing you need to do in this case is just change the build action for the resource, for the image to be an embedded resource, and after that the new baseline image will contains in this for this example will contains the this text. And
question, comment. I have a question and a comment. Question and comment. So yeah, it's very clever to generate it when it's not there, which means that the file is then added to the repository, correct?
Yes, it's correct.
Okay. Second comment is, why do we have to embed them in the DLL? Also,
it's not required to embed to the DLL. This is required if you want to use a you want to generate a self-contained assembly. For example, if you want to publish your test setup or test project to NuGet, for example.
Yeah, so that's like nobody wants to do that. But maybe you want to do that, but that's not if that's not necessary, then fine. And it will work as is if you don't embed them then.
Yes, it's work.
Okay, good.
Okay.
That's very important, I think, because that's much simpler than embedding them. I don't see the point of embedding them. If you say to put your test on NuGet, fine, but I mean, why?
I think because it's possible, so we can do it.
Actually, the reason for that, if I may or inject something, we specifically needed that because we also publish, among others, the UI tests for our modules that you can run in your own app to make sure that you haven't done anything that breaks our module's functionality. I think pretty much that's the only valid use case here.
But then the image, so how is the piece of the screen taken? Because if I had a logo on my site, technically it will break all your tests, right? But when I saw the screenshot from Joseph, it was only a small part of the UI. How are these parts of the screen taken?
This is the part is selected by
a selector, a CSS selector.
Yes, a CSS selector, for example.
So
and
you can say compare this DOM element.
Yes, I can see it. And but you can compare the full page, whole page, if you want. Yes, exactly what you say. You can select by CSS selector or text selector or anything else that the by selector supports.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. And I think comparing text is not a big sample, so I can show you another test with chart.js if you are interested in.
What I was about to say also is, yeah, your test is when you for your demo, in terms of demos, you changed the text of the site name to show that it's failing. That's not what I would have done. What I would have showed is you don't change the code, but you change a template like a CSS thing, and then like the background. And then I would have expected it to fail because the background changed. Because here changing the text, I mean, yeah, it's obvious you broke the site explicitly, so why did you break it? But what you want to show is that unintentional change, yeah, like the background text in the CSS or HTML, something like that.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks. Great.
Go on with your demo.
Oh, plus, okay. So I have one more demo with chart.js. This is a canvas-based chart library. So at it will pass first on the first run, and after I change something, and it will fail. So let's see it. Okay, a minute, and here is the bar chart and the line chart. So it passes, no problem, and I make some change. Yes, for example. Okay. And let's see it again. So what I changed is some of the expenses of user. In this sample, you can see by eyes the changes are visible. And let's see the failure dumps. This verification. So this is the baseline image. Here is sorry, the test repeats. I think this is the final one. Yes. Okay. So this is the difference between the baseline and the output of the application, and this is the captured output of the application, and I think it's cool. Okay, that's all.